In this lesson, we're going to be talking about relations. Go ahead and pause now. Go ahead and pause now. Write down these definitions for relation, domain, and range. A relation is any set of ordered pairs. Let's talk about ordered pairs first. An ordered pair is any set of x and y values, any set of two values that make an x and y pair, an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So an example of this would be 3, 2, -1, 4, 2, -2, 3, 7. These are all ordered pairs. They all have an x coordinate and a y coordinate, and it's a pair of those two values. And a relation is any set of ordered pairs. So these four ordered pairs make a relation. The domain is the set of x coordinates. So the x coordinates here are 3, -1, 2, and 3. These are the domain values. These are the x coordinates. And the range are the y coordinates. The 2, 4, -2, and 7. These are the y values, and those make up the range. So if I said list the domain of this relation, you could write the domain consists of 3, -1, 2, and 3. Now, when we're writing domain and range and we write a set here, the set should only contain one of each number. So if I have a group of numbers 1, 4, 3, 7, 1, 2, 4, 1. Say this is a bunch of numbers that I have, and I want to write a set that tells me what these numbers are. The set, the way I would list this set is by listing one of each of these numbers. So I have a 1, I have a 2, I have a 3 and a 4, and I have a 7. I have another 1, but that's already listed in the set, so I don't need to list it again. I have another 1 that's already listed in the set, I don't need to list it again. And I have another 4 that's already listed in the set, I don't need to list it again. So my set would consist of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. I could name these numbers any amount of times, and those would be a part of the set, but I only need to list the number once in the set. So if I'm saying the domain, I only need to list each of these numbers once. So I don't need to include this 3. I could rather just use these 3 numbers, and I can list them in least to greatest order. That would give me the best representation of this set. So I would say -1, 2, and 3. The important thing, though, is that we're listing these x values. So this would be the domain. The range consists of the y values. So we want to take a look at these values, the 2, 4, -2, and 7. So let's go ahead and list those out. We would say 2, 4, -2, and 7. Now if we want to write this the way the book does, or the way I've been teaching in proper order, increasing order, we would write -2 first, then 2, then 4, then 7. So this is our range. So a relation is any set of ordered pairs. Here we just listed 4 ordered pairs. Ordered pair is an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So we have these ordered pairs here. That makes up the relation. The domain is the set of x coordinates. So 3, -1, 2, and 3 again. And we list those in a set, and when we write it in a set, we don't include multiples of the same number. So we just have -1, 2, and 3. 3 is listed again, so we don't include that again in the set. In range, the range is a set of y coordinates, so that's the 2, 4, -2, and 7. And we list that here, 2, 4, -2, and 7. And then when we rewrite it, we write it in proper order, in increasing order, and that is -2, 2, 4, and 7. So that's the domain, range, and relation. Let's look at how we might see that problem in the book or later in the class. Here, we express each relation as a table or graph. We want to state the domain and the range. So we have 4 ordered pairs, just like I gave in the example above. We have a graph here, and we want to express it as a table and in the graph, and then we want to state the domain and range. So first, let's make a table of x, y pairs, of the ordered pairs. This first pair, -4, 3, we'd write the -4 in the x group, -3 in the y column. Next pair, 2, 1, we'd write this. The 2 is the x value, so we'd write it in the x column. The 1 is the y value, we're going to write it here. 0, 3, we're going to write the 0 in the x column, and the 3 in the y column. The next pair is -3, -2. The -3 is the x value, we're going to write it in the x column, and the -2 is the y value, we're going to write it in the y column. So now we wrote it as a table. Let's write it in the graph. We're going to plot each of these pairs. The first pair, -4, 3, we can plot on the graph -4, so we're going to go on the x-axis, this horizontal axis. We're going to go -4, so 4 in the negative direction. So we're going to start at 0, go 1, 2, 3, 4 in the negative direction, and 3 is the y value, so we're going to go 3 in the positive direction. 1, 2, 3. So here's where our point should be. So there's our first point. Our next point is at 2, 1. So we're going to go 2 in the positive x direction, 1, 2, and 1 in the positive in the y direction. There's our second point. Our third point is at 0, 3. Here's 0 on the x-axis, and we're going to go up 3 on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3. There's our next point. And the last one, -3, -2. We're going to go -3 in the x direction, 1, 2, 3, and -2 in the y direction. So we're going to go down, 1, 2. There's our 4 points. So we've plotted these 4 points on this graph. We made the table. Now I want to state the domain and the range. So let's go ahead and write domain. And the domain consists of the x values. So the x values in this case, we're going to look at each ordered pair, and we're going to look at the x value. And the x values are -4, 2, 0, and -3. And we already wrote these in the x column in our table. So we can just rewrite these as our domain. So these are going to be -4. And if we write in increasing order, we'll look at -4, and then -3, then 0, and 2. And if we take a look at the range consists of the y values. So we take a look at the y values in our set of ordered pairs. That's 3, 1, 3, and -2. So then we see in our table 3, 1, 3, and -2. We're going to put those in the range, and again we're going to write in increasing order. So we're going to start with the most negative, and that is -2. The next number is 1, then 3, and we have 3 again, so we're not going to repeat it. So we have -2, 1, and 3. Let's take a look at the next one. Number 2, it's the same kind of problem. We've got 4 ordered pairs. We've got 5, 3, -4, 1, 2, -5, and 3, -4. So we're going to start by writing a table. X, Y. Our first ordered pair is 5, 3. So we're going to write 5, the X value in the X column, 3, the Y value in the Y column. The next pair is -4, 1. We're going to write -4 in the X column and 1 in the Y column. The next pair is 2, -5. So we're going to write the X value 2 in the X column and the Y value -5 in the Y column. The last pair is 3, -4. The 3 is the X value in the pair, so we're going to write 3 in the X column. We're going to write -4 in the Y column. Now for the graph, we're going to plot each of these points. So the first point is 5, 3. We're going to plot that on the graph. So we're going to start at 0. We're going to move 5 in the X direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to move 3 in the Y direction. 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be our first point. It's going to be our first point at 5, 3. Our second point is -4, 1. So we're going to move -4 in the X direction. That's to the left. So we're going to start at 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's -4 in the X direction. And we're going to move 1 in the Y direction. So 1 up. And there's our point. Our next point is 2, -5. We're going to move 2 in the positive direction on the X-axis. 1, 2. And -5 in the Y direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's our third point. And our fourth point is 3, -4. So we're going to move 3 in the positive X direction. 1, 2, 3. And 4 in the negative Y direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we plotted all 4 of our points. So we made the table, we made the graph, we plotted it on the graph. Now our next step is to list the domain and range. So let's go ahead and list the domain. The domain consists of the X values. So that's these 4 values here. The 5, -4, 2, and 3. The first coordinate, the first ordered pair's X value is 5. So we can write the domain as 5, -4, 2, and 3. But if we want to write this in increasing order, we would actually say, we'd start with the negative number, -4. The next is 2, then 3, then 5. Let's do the same with the range. Remember, the range is the Y values. So we look at these numbers in this column, the 3, 1, -5, and -4. If we take a look at these ordered pairs, that's the 3, 1, -5, and -4. So let's go ahead and start with the most negative first. That's -5, then -4, then 1, then 3. So this is a set of ordered pairs. We want to describe this relation, so we're going to use a table first. We did that here. We have an X column, a Y column. We listed the ordered pairs. We split up their X and Y values. And then we plotted these ordered pairs on the graph. So we discussed the relation. We described it by writing the table, the graph, And then we listed the domain and the range. The domain is the set of x coordinates, so we listed those, and the range is the set of y coordinates, and we listed those.